Hello my owlets, and welcome back to another video. And guess what it's time for? It's time to start another journal. So I am so excited to put this one together. Now, true confession you guys, I am so behind. Let me go get my other journal. I am so behind in my creative daily journal. My brain has not been able to function because I've had so much stuff going on. But now I'm feeling myself coming back. I knew April was going to be chaotic. I think I talked about that. So needless to say, lots of catching up to do. But I think what I'm going to do is take you guys with me. And then I can show you kind of what I do when I'm this far behind. I don't give up. I try not to give up. But as you can see, I'm actually very behind in March and April. But I am dying, you guys, dying to get after it. Play. I want to play in my journal. The good news is I have an event coming up, so I'm hoping that I get some time to journal and play in my journal. So let's fingers crossed. But after this month, things are going to settle down. It's good. So let's hop into what we're going to be working on today. I felt like I'm going to do this in two parts. I'm going to put together the insides of my journal, and then I'm going to move this so we can have a better working space. I'm going to put this in, we're going to work on the inside of my journal, and then the next video I'll be doing the cover. I'm doing something a little bit different this time for the cover. I'm totally into using fibers right now, so I'm going to be using, let me show you what I plan to use. I had picked this material up, oh my gosh, I think 5 years ago, and I found it in my stash drawer, and isn't it beautiful? I picked it up from a quilting material place here in LaGrange, and so I'm going to use it on my journal because I think it just says hello May, hello summer, hello spring. So and then I know it's not summer yet, but believe me, here in Texas it already feels like, oh, the heat's coming. I'm not a fan of the heat, so I try not to dwell on it. And then I went to Warrington this last couple weeks ago, and she said, here's a bag, fill it up with whatever, she had ribbon. And a lot of it had been, it had that old smell to it, that musty smell. So I ran most everything through the wash machine, this being one of them. And I know you're like, oh my gosh, it's like a little table doily. Don't cut that. But if you could see up close, it's got mold on it. And, I'm going to put it to another use to where I'm going to have it on I'm going to somehow cut out as much as I can and put it on my journal cover. So it's going to be something new that I haven't really done with this kind of stuff before. So we're going to give it a whirl together and hope for the best. So I've already picked out my composition book. I've taken away 7 pages. Or 7 or 10, 7 pages, to make it pretty thick. But I'm going to be adding some more pages, some more cardstock and really thin scrapbook paper to the inside. So I might be taking more of this notebook paper out as well, the striped writing paper, just so I don't make it overly thick. Because we're going to be fluffing it up. So I wanted to show you real quick. This is what my journal, I already took it apart, but I want to, if you're new here, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. If you're returning, welcome. I'm so glad you guys are here. But this is, you guys, this was my son's little doodle book. Look how cute. I got chocolate bubble gum. He didn't doodle a whole lot of pages in here. As you can see, this is his little hand. I wish I had a date on this, but it's just so cute. So I can't ever use this book, or if I use this book, I'm going to save the pages to it, because this just is so Zachary. My son, he's turning 24 this year. think, I don't know, I'm starting to get like, let me add that up. I still feel like he's 22, but I think he's 23. I'm pretty sure he's 23 because the other day I was like, no, you're not, you're 22. And he's like, no, mother. But basically what I do is I come in before to take out the pages is, as you can see, this is a stitch marking in here, and I basically open it up here or start here, and I can just cut out that that stitch, and then you have your whole release of the pages here. So what I like to do is I glue my pages together, and so I'm going to go through in every 2 pages because I glue them together to create a stability, and then I also washi the edges. So what I plan to do is to count 2, and then I'm going to be including some of my scrapbook pages in here. And I also picked up this sweet little card. There's a little there is a little kind of like a junk shop or junkin store or antique place, and I love it because they also have handmade stuff in there as well. And so I'm going to use this card as part of my as an insert. And so I love this because she said she needed a hero, so that's what she became. Oh, did y'all hear Puffs? She came in. She's like, hello. So anyway, I just thought that would be really cute to put in here as well. So what I want to do first is go ahead and cut down some of these pages. Now, oh, she's my young cat. She's not to be mean, but she's a pain. She always climbs on everything, gets herself in awkward situations. You know how cats like to do that. And I'm just going to kind of cut. I was looking for my paper cutter and I can't find it. So like my tabletop one. So I'm just going to eyeball it. I'm not particular about having a straight line because this is going in a journal and this is a junk journal. So, okay, so we have 2 pages here. And then this came from my friend Amy. She sent me some stuff. So I just love these hydrangeas. Reminds me of my little sister because that's what she had as her flowers for her wedding. One day, you guys, I know they grow pretty wild up north. It's pretty hot here, so I might have seen them maybe early on. I can't even remember if I've seen them down here. I'm sure they grow here in Texas, but it's probably definitely a spring flower. We were, when we went on our recent trip to the Scrapbook Expo, we went through a little town. I'm trying to think of what the town was called. But they had, oh my goodness, they had tulips. I'm going to cut this one a little shorter. They had tulips just growing in the little downtown area. It was so pretty. In fact, my sister found some tulip washi tape, and she's like, oh, I brought you tulip washi tape because I just love tulips. They're so pretty. Okay, so I'm getting, you know, I always pick out different pages that I like. I may not use them all. Like, I don't think I'm going to put this one in there. Or I might use it for something else. But I'm going to go ahead and just fold this one in half since it's really thin. And I'm just going to cut it right down the middle here. And have a smaller one that goes in as an insert. Okay, and the other thing that I received from my friend Amy was this acetate paper by Paige Evans, and the paper line is Splendid. It's from American Crafts, and it's, wow, you guys, look how beautiful that is. So I want to use it kind of like in the intro. Again, I want to save enough to where I can use it again, you know, in a project. So I'm going to cut it literally in half. and save the other half. And then this. Now I know with acetate it's going to be tricky getting through this, to be honest with you. That's the only thing I'm a little concerned with my needle, is sewing through this. So I might have to like pre-punch a hole or something in here. That's my only concern. But we're gonna play with it and see what happens. And then I have this out because we're going to actually go ahead and add, in fact, let's go ahead and do that before we add all this into our journal pages. Move some of this stuff aside. So we have a good stack, and that's going to go in here. I'm going to put this aside for a second. And I wanted to include, this is one that I picked up from Dollar Tree, and they have like these really inspirational quotes. And so I wanted to cut out, there was an image that I had in here where that had flowers on it, and I thought it was so pretty. There, is it the tulips? Maybe it's the tulips. I don't think it was the tulips. This one. And actually it's for the month of May. So, oh, I forgot to mention, that's the month I'm working on right now, is the month of May. So I'm going to take this and use this as part of the cover. And I think what I'm going to do, I don't want to add, I want to leave that open for when I do my stitching, because I don't want to have to worry about coming through, and you know, the less I have to stitch through, the easier it is to kind of stitch. You know, like it doesn't take, you know, it's easier to stitch through versus having to go through layers if you don't have as many, which makes total sense. So I think I'm just going to put that in there like that. Get my glue stick. Really get along those edges, and then I just kind of do like some down the middle here. The edges is what's going to keep it on the page. And I'm going to save this because that can go into another part of the journal. And then I'm just going to trim in here like this. Isn't that pretty? And I love the quote. It says, "Do not go where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path, and leave the trail." And I love that because I know... Hold up, I'm going to get this other paper. I know, this is so pretty. I hate to put it in the back of a journal, to be honest with you, but it's one of the papers I got from Scrapbook Expo. But I'm going to go ahead because that's why we buy paper, to use it. I can see myself wanting to hoard this paper. But I love that quote. I'm going to use it. This one's was very sticky, so it's kind of getting old, I think. It's been around because I don't use that Elmer's Extreme. I know I've got questions on what kind of glue I use. I buy this off of Amazon, and it seems to really, really stick. You know, like, over time. I don't know why. I guess because, like I mentioned before, in my cookbook I use certain, like, tape runners, and now that it's been several years, probably more than several years, it's like they're coming apart, and it's very, like, upsetting because, you know, you think you're going to put all this together, you want it to stick together for many, many years. But anyway, I really like this. It's Avery, it's just Avery washable acid-free glue stick. And I like using the bigger glue stick, and it sticks very well. So okay, just trimming those edges, and of course where it circles here. There. So beautiful. Okay. I'm going to cover that up. Move it back in its space. I'm really trying to do better at that. Okay, and so let's go ahead and get our book out. Now, granted, this probably is a little, let's look, check it out. By the time we add our other pages in there, I probably could actually remove some of these pages. Some of the times I like to go through and really kind of see if what's the word I'm looking for? Really kind of see if it's going to be an even Steven. I know I did that in April, but I'm not going to really focus right now because I feel like I'm going to put this on last. I feel like now I don't know why I can't even remember why I wanted it to April to end exactly in April. Who knows? It's okay. I don't have to remember. So basically, like I said, I'm going to go ahead and like do 1, 2, because I'm going to be gluing these pages together, and do 1, 2, 1, 2, because I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to start by adding in one of my pages that I cut. And this is just what I like. You don't have to do this. The reason I like to do that is because I like to have that. This makes, to me, it gives it a little bit more, one, I get to use my paper up. 2, it kind of gives me that junk journal feel to it, where you have the different pages in there. But like I said, it's not necessarily something you have to do. But I've kind of evolved to where I do this in almost every one of my journals. And now you can easily just glue your pages together. And by the way, there's no rhyme or reason for how many I do over. I just kind of go with it. And when I feel like, okay, I'm going to add one here, I add one here. I add a insert here. I don't go like, okay, every 2 pages I'm going to do this. I just really wing it. But sometimes what's nice about having these pages in there is that it gives us additional space to document. So say for instance, you have an event here and you want to really do a lot of writing, or you have a lot of ephemera from the event or the day, or you know, whatever the case is, or you have a large menu you want to put on here. Then you could add your wording here, or more ephemera here, you know. So I feel like, or if you don't have anything that happened that day and you're like, well, it's kind of just a day, another day in life, you know, then you could just kind of add, just use this for the day, you know. So I feel like it gives me a little bit of more options too when I add these pages. I guess it, you know, so like here I did 2. I'm gonna go ahead and add another one in here like this. I'm getting close to the end here, so of my pages that I cut out. So say for instance you start adding, if you do decide to do this, I'm going to go ahead and add my card in now. And actually I almost thought about adding the card in the front because I just love that quote. Let's see here. Let's see. I think I might do that. I don't know why. I want that front and center. And then maybe I could do this in the middle. Or we can just add another layer onto that. I don't know. this is, we're going to put that aside for now. Like I said, I'm a little worried about it being able to, I might have to put it in the middle. I'm a little worried about it being difficult to add. So I have this many pages left, and I have one more of my cutout. So let's see where I left this off. And then I'm going to just kind of see how the width is. And you know, something else I've done, just speaking more or less about the papers, is say, for instance, I want to use this as a complete layout and I don't really need this. You can always add glue to this side and glue it down and create your background with it. So I've done that as well. Okay. So, being that said, I'm going to put this aside because this is like the extra paper that's left over. It's not too much, but let's see how fluffy our journal has become. Now, in the past, I've talked about this, how I have this edging. With this journal, I actually cut off that edging, so I evened it out, which works perfectly, or you can add some different kind of material or trim to cover that up to where, because by the time you add all your fluff in there, sometimes this just adds to the fluff. It just widens it up and you don't even notice it. But I think I'm going to kind of say this is it. I might add actually, I'm going to use that along the seam here. I was just looking at some of this other paper that I have in here. If I wanted to add this. I feel like this needs to have something on the outside of it though. Maybe do one more set of papers in there. Okay, so I am good with that. Again, I don't know how long this journal will last me. Sometimes, like I said, I do add the pages, but you know, we're gonna just go with it. And if it does like all of May, half of June, which is probably what it will do, I'm okay with that. Okay, so let's get over my nervousness of this acetate, adding this acetate paper. We're gonna go ahead and get all our tools out to do our binding. And I'm going to leave the link below to this kit. I ordered this little, this bookmaking kit off of Amazon. Very inexpensive. Let's see. Oh, it's not that, maybe it's not as bad as what I think it's going to be. I'm just going to kind of put this in here so I know exactly where that hole is. Again, you guys, I'm just letting you know I am winging this. Oop, you're coming along with me on this new bookbinding adventure. Okay, so I kind of have an idea that's where I'm going to be adding my hole for this. Of course, it may change once I fold this up and straighten everything. So once I kind of have it, and I have it as squished as I can down in there, like that, lined up on the sides, we're going to get our big, large paper clips. And I'm going to paper clip this here. You can use binding clips as well. This basically holds the paper in place so it does not move around. This is where I'm talking about, like, the acetate paper might have gone a little AWOL on its place it's supposed to be in. Okay. But it seemed like it went through fairly easy, right? Now when I'm doing this, what I like to do is why am I having issues? Why is it acting up? Maybe it's like it's acting up, you guys. Oh no, I ripped my paper. Okay, let's replace that one. I don't know, I've never had any issues. I'm really actually thinking it's this thing's making it more wonky. This acetate's making it like not lay flat. So let's try this again. I'm determined to make it work though. Maybe I'll do it on this side. Okay. It's a little crinkled in there, but we're going to work with it. Okay, so let's go ahead. Get our space cleaned up a little bit. And let's punch our holes. So I kind of keep my book bent a little bit. It seems like it makes it where it's easier to thread the holes in. And I literally find the center point, which is where I kind of punch that acetate at. And look, it went through perfect. Now, the thing is that I kind of push my awl. This is called an awl. I push my awl all the way through. And then I kind of go back over here and I do like maybe an inch up. Again, I eyeball this. The luxury of using a composition book where your stitches are, they have that in there. So I'm going to use the little hole that was 1 page up and just push through. And it's actually going through fairly easy. So I'm really happy about that. Okay, so as you can see, there's 3 punches, right? 3 holes. Now, I get my needles. And again, these come in the kits, and they're really nice sized needles. And I use wax thread because wax, to me, and I do about 2 feet of it, not even maybe 1.5 feet would work just fine. But I do a, the wax seems to really hold up. And it's easy to sew with. So I run it through just like you would do embroidery. Leave it alongside. Pull this just a little bit. So you have a little bitty tail here, and then you have your long piece here. Now this is where you decide whether you want your string on the inside of the book or the outside of the book. I typically do the inside just out of habit. Nothing's right or wrong about it. It's just where the string is going to tie and end up. So I run my needle through the first hole, the middle hole, and I'm going to push it all the way through and leave a little bitty tail on the inside like that because we're going to be tying it. So I leave that there, and then again what you're going to want to do is go either through the bottom or the top. There is no rules. You can go either one. You're going to get to the point of where you are, and then I'm going to go through and put it in. And that's where this is the tricky part, because the pages have started to, you know, you've got to make sure you find that hole. Let me try the top because I'm already having issues with the bottom. Because what happens is the needle has a tendency, and I'll show you, to want to go through the pages and not find that hole. You know, it's like it's sliding through the pages like that. So that's one of the reasons I like to leave mine bent, because sometimes it makes it easier. So I'm going to go ahead and pull all the string through. Come down here. See how my page is already getting loose? Those clips were supposed to hold it in place, but hey, looky there. First shot. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. I'm going to pull this through. And then if you need to loosen your string up, that's fine. And then you're going to go right back through the middle. And this is the one that can be tricky, because I can already feel it going in between those pages. And I'm going to take that off and then just try to maybe guide it a little bit. Let's see where we're at. Maybe have to guide it into this hole. The other thing I have sometimes an issue with is it wants to like go through the thread. See how it wanted to go through those pages? So I'm just going to bring it back and tuck it into the hole. And I've lost the needle. There it goes. So I'm just helping it along so it doesn't get lost in those pages. See how it wants to go in between those? So I'm just going to bring it back. Now, if this seems super complicated to you and you're going, oh, especially if you're new here and you haven't done this before and you're like, it's too much. I just want a journal. You don't have to tear your book apart. You can literally just tear out your pages. And I think I'll do that next time, even though, like I said, I like creating a junk journal. But really and truly, you can create a junk journal without adding these additional pages in there. But you can actually just not tear out a few pages. Oh, here we go with our acetate. Let's see. Let's bring it through the hole. Oh, there it is. You guys, it actually went through the hole, I think, that we made. Because I can see where this can be look like a pain. And there we have it. It brought to the other side. But what you can do is tear out your pages, glue them together, and voila, you have your journal ready. So I'm going to get rid of this needle so I don't poke myself with it. And we have both of our strings here. So I'm going to take this clip off. And you might say, well, look how loose that is. Well, this is where I'm going to go in and tighten it up now. So I'm going to go ahead and pull that through. Oops, I am just getting all crazy with this journal. Pull this through. Pull this through. Make sure this is tight. Make sure it's tight on the outside. You know, I feel it, these pages coming up because of that heavier plastic cards, you know, the acetate that's in there. I'm going to tighten it up, make sure this is tight, and then I'm going to just tie a knot. But I do encourage you guys to adventure out and work in a journal, bind it different ways, you know, use it. But like I said, if you're not feeling it, don't do it. But it took me a long time to do this because I've been doing this for a while now, but I would say back about 5 or 6 years ago when I first saw this binding, I was like, oh, I can't figure it out. It's too much. And it ended up not being bad at all. Now I bind so many of my journals. Okay, let's flip through. And we have all of our, see how they just kind of stay in, and we have all of our pages. Let's see how the tricky acetate did. It worked, you guys. It worked. Like I said, I think it kind of put these 2 pages into shock because it was like, what are you doing? Let's see, you got this thick stuff that wants to stay folded, and we're supposed to be flat. But once you glue your pages together, and you start putting, so basically my next step, I'll go ahead and show you guys since we're here. Again, I'm probably going to come in and trim a lot of this out. But what I'll do is I'll sit in front of the television or at my journal table or whatever. And I'm going to start out, like I don't sit down and do all of the pages. You can, but I like to just kind of, you know, of course this is a fairly new journal, so, and we're still mid-April. So I have time. But I'll do just a few pages at a time, or if you want to sit down and do them all, you can do that too. I basically just glue around the edges. Sometimes I grab a ruler because sometimes that just kind of helps seal the deal, make it flat. So that's 2 pages glued together. And I get these 2. I go around the edging. Kind of just do it in the middle there. Put the pages down. Run a ruler or run my hand or run a roller, just kind of to seal that glue in. I have that page, so you get the idea. And then what I do, okay, so you have your first 3 pages already glued together. Then I come in here, let me put the lid on this, I'm notorious for leaving that undone. I'll come in here with like washi tape, just depending. A lot of times I try to keep it, you know, themed to the whatever the season I'm in. I still have my January washi, I feel like, because it's all blue. But I'll come in and add my washi tape. So I just, and what's nice about washi is typically most of it you can see through. So I run it along here and do a it may stick to the other pages, but I make sure that I have the first 2 that I glued down, and I just flip it over like this. And it just kind of creates a little bit of edging, and it's pretty, and you're using your supplies, but it also helps seal those pages in. And then I'll come over here with my next one, and I use all different sizes. This is one's a little bit thicker. And yeah, so you can do it while you're, I've had lots of people say, I can't do that while I'm watching TV. Before you know it, I miss pages. So whatever works for you. That, I mean, to me, it's just, sometimes I'll sit down and do just a few pages because I'm usually ready to like start working in my journal. I kind of have a head start on this one. And then here is like some more thicker washi, but what I was saying is that I kind of basically have a tendency to just, I'll do a few pages at a time, and then as I get towards the end, I'm like, okay, let's wrap this up. Let's finish these pages up. So I'll make sure I have 2 here. And then I flip this over like that. And I trim. And there's your start of your journal. Ta-da! Now, being that this is May and we're starting out with May, like more likely I'll come in here too and cover up that white gap with some washi. But being that this is the beginning of May, I'll come in here with my BBG stickers. I'll do another video on that and start my month out with my May girl. And there you have it. I'm ready to go. And then we're going to come in, and in the next video I'll do the cover with you guys so you guys can see that. But actually, to be honest with you, just looking at it now, I was like, oh, I need to come in here and trim these. Once I add washi on the edges, look how pretty that is. So I think I'm just going to leave those pages in there. But what I might do too off camera is come in and I'm just going to count out my days. Sometimes I get a pencil and I'll, oh, I heard my cat. Sorry, I was like, what is that noise? But I'll come in here and add a little pencil mark. So, alright you guys, thanks for watching, and I'm so excited to start. I always look forward to starting a new journal. I hope you're inspired, and I will see you in my next video. Bye-bye.